Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe and support me. Legend had it that within every person lay a magnificent mind palace, a grand structure housing all of one's memories, thoughts, and emotions. Yet over time, this palace could become damaged, its rooms forgotten or sealed off. Only by restoring the mind palace could one ascend to higher levels of spiritual enlightenment. Noah, a young alchemist in the quaint town of Eldermire, was renowned for his prodigious talents. The town itself was a haven for alchemists, where cobblestone streets wound between ancient buildings, each home to practitioners of the arcane arts. Despite his accomplishments, Noah felt a gnawing emptiness inside, as if a part of him was missing. One crisp autumn morning, while helping his mentor Abraham organize a cluttered study, Noah stumbled upon an old leather-bound manuscript. The pages were yellowed with age, filled with cryptic symbols and faded ink. Intrigued, he carefully opened it to find references to the legendary Mind Palace. "Master Abraham, what's this about?" Noah asked, his eyes alight with curiosity. Abraham's face grew solemn as he glanced at the manuscript. "It's an ancient text on the Mind Palace," he replied. "Not something to be taken lightly. Delving into one's own mind can be perilous." But Noah couldn't shake off his fascination. That night, he sat by candlelight, poring over the manuscript's intricate details. The more he read, the more he felt that this was the key to filling the void within him. He approached Abraham again, expressing his desire to explore his own mind palace. "I must caution you," Abraham warned. "The journey inward is fraught with risks. Unresolved emotions and forgotten memories can be more dangerous than any external foe." Undeterred, Noah began preparing for his inward voyage. He studied the required alchemical rituals, gathered rare ingredients, and spent hours meditating to attune himself. Finally, he was ready. Under a starlit sky, Noah performed the ancient ritual. As he chanted the final incantation, he felt a sudden shift. The world around him faded, and he found himself standing before an enormous palace. Its once grand façade section 8 was marred by cracks. Vines overran the stone walls, and many windows were darkened. "This is my mind palace," he whispered to himself, both awed and disheartened. He stepped through the grand entrance into a vast hall. Dust motes floated in the stale air, and echoes of distant whispers reached his ears. Long corridors stretched out before him, lined with doors of various shapes and sizes. Drawn to the first door on his right, he hesitated before turning the ornate handle. The room inside was warm and filled with soft light. Toys were scattered on the floor, and colorful drawings adorned the walls. It was his childhood room. Joyful memories flooded back, the laughter shared with his mother, the stories she told him at bedtime, the games they played in the garden. But then a shadow fell over the scene. He remembered the day she fell ill, the hushed conversations, and eventually, the grief that consumed him after her passing. Tears welled up in Noah's eyes. He had buried these feelings deep within, choosing to forget rather than face the pain. "I've missed you so much," he whispered into the empty room. He realized that neglecting this part of himself had left a void that no amount of alchemical success could fill. Closing the door gently, he moved on. Further down the corridor, he found another door slightly ajar. Pushing it open, he entered a room filled with the rebellious energy of his teenage years. Posters covered the walls, loud music played from an unseen source, and a palpable sense of frustration hung in the air. He saw himself arguing with his father, the tension that grew between them after his mother's death. His father had thrown himself into his work, leaving Noah feeling abandoned. "You were never there," he said aloud, confronting the phantom of his father. "I needed you." Understanding washed over him. His aloofness and tendency to push others away stemmed from this period. By acknowledging the hurt, he felt a small piece of the palace repair itself. Venturing deeper, Noah came across a room that emanated a soft glow. Inside, memories of his childhood friend Lucas awaited. They had been inseparable until a bitter misunderstanding drove them apart. He saw the moment they argued, the harsh words exchanged, and the cold silence that followed. "I should have listened," Noah admitted. "I let pride destroy our friendship." He felt a pang of regret but also a spark of hope. Perhaps it wasn't too late to mend what was broken. As he continued exploring, the corridors became darker, and the air grew heavy. He noticed a door unlike the others, larger, reinforced, and tightly locked. An ominous feeling settled in his stomach. Whatever lay behind this door was something he had long avoided. Mustering his courage, Noah reached out. The door resisted at first but slowly creaked open. A chilling breeze swept past him as he stepped into the darkness. Shadows twisted and danced, forming into distorted images of his deepest fears, failures he dreaded, mistakes he couldn't forgive himself for, doubts that plagued his every decision. Voices echoed around him. "You're not good enough. You'll never succeed. Everyone will leave you." Overwhelmed, Noah dropped to his knees. But then a faint light appeared, growing steadily brighter. It was a small, glowing orb of his inner strength. He grasped it tightly, allowing its warmth to fill him. "No," he declared firmly. "I am more than my fears. I accept my flaws, but they do not define me." The shadows recoiled, the voices faded, and the room began to brighten. Relief washed over him as he closed the door, knowing he had faced the darkest parts of himself. Emerging back into the corridor, he noticed the palace around him was changing. Walls repaired themselves, lights flickered on, and a sense of harmony returned. He felt lighter, more complete. A soft melody began to echo through the halls, a tune that was both familiar and comforting. Drawn by the sound, Noah followed it to a grand staircase that spiraled upward. As he ascended, he felt the weight of his past lifting, each step bringing him closer to a newfound sense of self. At the top of the staircase, he discovered a luminous chamber bathed in golden light. The walls were adorned with tapestries depicting moments of love and connection at times when he had felt truly alive. In the center stood a pedestal with a glowing crystal pulsating gently. He approached the crystal and placed his hand upon it. A warmth spread through his body as images of his loved ones filled his mind. His mother's gentle smile, his father's proud gaze during rare moments of closeness, Lucas's infectious laughter, and the tender eyes of Amelia, his first love. Amelia, he had almost forgotten her amidst the chaos of his pursuits. Memories of their time together surfaced, walks by the river, shared dreams under starlit skies, and the day he chose ambition over affection, leaving her without explanation. "I've been so blind," he whispered, "chasing shadows while ignoring the light right in front of me." Resolute, Noah knew what he had to do. With a deep breath, he embraced the crystal, allowing its light to envelop him completely. The mind palace shimmered, its walls now radiant and whole. Every room was unlocked, every memory acknowledged. A gentle voice echoed in the chamber. "You have restored balance within yourself. Go forth and let your outer world reflect the harmony you've found within." As the light intensified, Noah felt himself being drawn back to reality. He opened his eyes to find himself seated in his workshop, the morning sun casting a warm glow through the window. The air felt different, crisp, invigorating. Without hesitation, he set out into the town. His first stop was Lucas's home. Standing at the familiar doorstep, he hesitated for a moment before knocking. The door opened to reveal Lucas, surprise flickering across his face. "Noah," Lucas said cautiously. "Lucas, I owe you an apology," Noah began earnestly. "I let a misunderstanding tear us apart, and I've missed my friend." Lucas studied him for a moment before a slow smile spread across his face. "I've missed you too. Come in, let's talk." They spent hours catching up, laughter and camaraderie filling the space between them. The rift that had once seemed insurmountable now felt like a distant memory. Next, Noah sought out his father, finding him tending to their modest garden. The lines on his father's face seemed deeper, etched by years of hard work and unspoken grief. "Father," Noah called out softly. His father turned, surprise giving way to a guarded expression. "Noah, to what do I owe the pleasure?" "I want to talk it to really talk," Noah said, stepping closer. "I've realized that we've both been hurting, and I don't want us to be strangers anymore." A flicker of emotion crossed his father's eyes. "I've made mistakes, son. After your mother passed, I didn't know how to handle it. I thought throwing myself into work would make things easier." "I understand now," Noah replied. "But we don't have to keep our distance anymore." They stood in silence for a moment before his father extended his hand. Instead, Noah embraced him, and after a brief hesitation, his father returned the hug. It was a beginning of fragile but hopeful start to rebuilding their relationship. Feeling a renewed sense of purpose, Noah made his way to the outskirts of town where Amelia lived. The path was lined with memories of their time together. As he approached her cottage, he noticed her tending to a flowering bush, humming softly. "Amelia," he called out gently. She looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. "Noah, it's been a long time." "Too long," he admitted. "I left without explaining, and I've regretted it ever since." She stood up, brushing soil from her hands. "Why are you here now?" "To make amends, if you'll let me," he said earnestly. "I've been lost, chasing ambitions that led me nowhere, but I've found clarity, and I realize that leaving you was the biggest mistake I've ever made." Amelia regarded him thoughtfully. "People change, Noah. How do I know this isn't just another fleeting whim?" "Because I've changed from within," he replied. "I understand if you need time, but I wanted you to know how I feel." She offered a faint smile. "Perhaps we can start now as friends." "I'd like that," he agreed, hope stirring within him. Over the following weeks, Noah dedicated himself to his alchemical studies with renewed vigor. But this time, his approach was different. Instead of seeking knowledge for personal gain, he aimed to use his skills to benefit others. He began teaching young apprentices, sharing not just the technical aspects of alchemy but also the importance of self-awareness and emotional balance. His teachings emphasized that true mastery came not just from understanding the elements but from understanding oneself. Word of his innovative methods spread, and soon, alchemists from neighboring towns came to learn from him. His workshop became a hub of creativity and collaboration, filled with lively discussions and groundbreaking discoveries. One evening, as the sun set over Eldermire, casting the town in hues of gold and purple, Noah gathered with his friends and students in the town square. A festival was underway, celebrating the unity and prosperity that had blossomed in recent times. Lucas clapped him on the shoulder. "You've done wonders for this place, Noah." "It's good to have you back." "It's good to be back," Noah replied, smiling warmly. Amelia approached, her eyes reflecting the twinkling lights strung across the square. "Your teachings have made a real difference." He met her gaze. "I couldn't have done it without the support of those around me." She took a step closer. "Perhaps it's time we revisit more than just friendship." Noah's heart swelled. "I'd like nothing more." As the night unfolded with music and laughter, Noah felt a profound sense of contentment. The emptiness that once consumed him was gone, replaced by genuine connections and a purposeful life. Later, standing atop a gentle hill overlooking the town, he watched as lanterns floated into the sky, each one a symbol of hope and dreams. Abraham joined him, the old mentor's eyes reflecting pride. "You've come a long way," Abraham said. "Thank you for guiding me," Noah replied. "I needed to find my own path, but your wisdom set me on the right course." Abraham nodded thoughtfully. "The journey inward is the most challenging of all, but you've faced it with courage." Noah took a deep breath, the cool night air filling his lungs. "I want to share what I've learned, and not just about alchemy, but about healing from within." "Then you are truly ready," Abraham said, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. In the months that followed, Noah penned a comprehensive manuscript detailing his experiences within the Mind Palace and the techniques he developed for self-exploration and healing. The book combined alchemical knowledge with philosophical insights, making it accessible to both seasoned practitioners and novices. The publication sparked a movement. People from all walks of life began exploring their own mind palaces, fostering a culture of introspection and personal growth. Communities became more empathetic, conflicts diminished, and a newfound harmony spread throughout the region. One day, as Noah walked through the bustling streets of Eldermeyer, he saw the impact of his work firsthand. Merchants greeted each other with genuine smiles, children played without care, and the air was filled with a sense of collective well-being. Amelia joined him, slipping her hand into his. "Look at what you've inspired," she said softly. "No," he corrected gently. "Look at what we've all achieved together." They continued down the path, passing by the academy he helped establish, where students engaged eagerly in their studies. The sound of lively debates and collaborative projects was music to his ears. Reaching the edge of town, they paused by the Riviera, the same spot where they had shared dreams in their youth. The water flowed steadily, reflecting the clear sky above. "Do you ever think about the future?" Amelia asked, resting her head on his shoulder. "All the time," he admitted. "But for the first time, I'm not anxious about it. I welcome it." She smiled. "I'm glad. Because whatever comes next, we'll face it together." Noah looked out across the water, gratitude filling his heart. He had journeyed through the depths of his own soul, confronted his fears, and emerged stronger. By repairing his mind palace, he had not only healed himself but also touched the lives of countless others. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the landscape, Noah knew that this was just the beginning. With a foundation of self-awareness and a community united by shared growth, the possibilities were endless. Turning back toward the town that had become a beacon of enlightenment, he felt a profound sense of peace. The path ahead was clear, illuminated by the lessons of the past and the promise of the future.